Alright, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to Star Crusade. My name is John. I'll be your host for this first impressions, let's play, whatever you guys want to call it. This game was developed and published by ZiMAD. This is their card game, and I say this right now because right now it's a collectible card game, but they said they might introduce like new trading options and stuff a little bit later. So it might turn from a CCG to a TCG, or trading card game. And yeah. So, before we actually get into everything, I want to give you a little rundown of what this game is, how to play it, and then we'll be opening some packs to show you the other different cards you can acquire, and just pretty much describing how to play the game and all the info you should need about this game so you can check it out for yourself. And I do have an additional link or something if you want to try it. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check that out at your own time. But yeah, it's on Steam, it's free to play, and it's actually pretty interesting. So yeah, first of all, let's go into play mode. And you guys might be wondering, what is all this? How is this a card game? And before we do anything, I'll get started into it. But since this is a PC game, I do want to go over like the settings and why it's unique to various other card games. So, as you may imagine, this is your standard music, audio, graphics, sound, good, very good. And then your card back, you could change it in the future. And then this is probably one of the most helpful things you can have that another popular card game does not have, but they should. The mute emotes for all opponents, because honestly, let's be real, people don't use it the way it's meant to be used. So having this will save you a lot of time and frustration. Just check it and keep it on. And then if you are doing like a tournament or a spectator, you could change this from like who can see your hands to everyone, nobody, or your friends only. And the reasoning is because if you take a look at the games list right here, you can actually see some public games going on around, and you can just watch other people. We're not going to be doing that right now. I just want to get you familiar with everything, what everything does. So, as you see here, this is your hero, or your main like character that you'll be using. So there's a couple different heroes you can play as. You just scroll down, and then the ones that I have X'd out are currently locked for me. We'll be unlocking them live so you guys can see how all this works. And then your level, when you level up your character, you get new cards and just more stuff in general and unlocks. So when you click the information, it tells you about the faction. You're essentially fighting faction versus faction, and you have some key abilities that you will use in-game. It's like your main hero has different abilities that you can use, mostly board clearing and all that stuff. You can read it. All of them are different. So there are multiple factions, and yeah, so with that said, next on our list, we will be doing some practice. I'll try to explain the game, and then after that, once you guys get a general idea of how the game works, I will be opening some packs and making decks so we can see all the new cards that are coming out, or like that's already out. And then we'll be talking about the raid. That might be a different video, but the raid is essentially arena, where you could pick up a card, or out of all the cards that exist right now, you just pick like a set of like few and then make a deck out of that. But we'll get into that in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Obviously right here, you can play with your friends and whatnot, your friends list and everything. And casual is like unranked, playing against other people. And ranked, obviously, there's a rank. You see how you're like right there, you go up. And then, yeah. So let's do it for practice game. You will get XP regardless of what mode you play, but I assume rank you get the most XP, win or lose. So assuming you guys have never played a card game in your life, or an online card game, I will show you and explain it. So the reason why we're doing practice is so I can actually take the time to explain, even though there's a little timer right there. So at the top, you'll see the triangle. That means how much supply it costs to use your ability. And you can replace it, or in the beginning, both people get to replace cards. How you realize you go first or second is if you have 3 cards, you go first, and then if you go second, you have 4 cards, and then you'll get an additional like thingy, like an initiative card that gives you an additional supply for that turn. So while he's going first, or you get 1, and then he just passed. So right now, while we are on a timer, this is pretty much how it works. You see the triangles at the top? That's how much it costs, or how much supply it costs to play the card. And then the bottom, you'll see a 2 and a 4, for example. The 2 is the attack, and the 4 is the health of the card. So what that means is, like, you have to break through the defense to destroy the card. And then you'll see a screen thingy, which is like an effect for that card specifically. That means it has a taunt. That means other minions have to attack that one before attacking your other characters. Alright, so let's just pass it. The way you pass your turn is you just click it and it goes to their side. So right here you see your deck, your opponent's deck, your supply, how much it costs to do things. And now it's our turn. We have 2 supply. We can use our initiative card to summon a 3 card cost, or just use a 2. The reason why we chose 3 because is our opponent has a 3 attack, 2 health minion, and ours is a 2/4, which means that if he attacks into this one, his would automatically be destroyed and ours would still live. So now that we have that out of the way, we have our hero ability. Now every character has it. This is your character. This is your opponent's character. It costs 2 supply to use it. So let's say if you didn't have anything in your hand that you could use, you would be able to use that regardless. And the way you win the game is by knocking your opponent's health to 0. And we'll go into a little bit more detail a little bit later for this one, but it could be altered between 25 to 40. And what makes it unique is in your deck you can have a difference between 25 to 40 cards. Now, the less cards you have, the better chance you'll have to like draw a certain thing you need. But the more you have, the more health you'll have. So it's kind of like a strategy in a way. Okay, so it's our turn right now. We have 3 supply. He has a 2/1, and we have 3 things. So generally, if you play a card game, you'll want to try to use our supply in this case as efficiently as possible. So we could summon a 2 cost and then have 1 supply left over, but just using, if you have a 3 cost and you have 3 supply, it's probably better to use it. Now we have an option. It's our turn again with 4 supply. Generally it is better to summon a bigger creature that costs 4 instead of double lower ones. That's just like an advanced tip that I can give you. Well, it really depends on the situation for the most part, but let's say it's early in the beginning, you just want to have more power on this board essentially. So then the way this works is when you can attack, you see the green like glowing, that's how you know you can attack. So you could attack the face and pretty much do that, but essentially it could be a race to that, or it could not. We could risk it at this point, destroy the 3/2 or destroy the 1/1. Now we could be greedy and destroy the 1/1, but he could have a card as well over here that destroys it. So it's really guessing in a way, or a guaranteed kill on that one. I think we're going to just destroy the 3/2, and I feel like it might be a little bit harder for the opponent to destroy our 3/6. As you know, we have a 3 attack and 6 health one, which is kind of hard to destroy. And what he did on his turn, you can see the feed at the left side. It's like what you do, you just click on it and it tells you. So last turn he had 5 mana. He played this one, which was 2, and then he summoned a guardsman for another 2, so then he had 1 left. So it's our turn right now. We have a 5. We could give ourselves a firepower, which is essentially attack, or we could just summon that.
Your trump card is here.
So essentially what I'm doing in this game is trying to get as much value as possible. That means Like, if you want to get 2 for 1 with 1 card, that's generally a good idea. But he does have 4 things on the board now. So, we'll see what we can do. Now, this is a 6 card, 6 drop, or 6 supply. But I think we're going to save it now because it has a special impact ability that gives all our friendly units +1. So to get the most value out of it, we would want to like put more minions on the board. And generally, if you're this is more like an advanced tip that might not matter, but it could. You see the person's hero power is a guardsman. Usually, with other things like that, they could introduce new cards that buff the guardsman specifically over like something random that was just summoned. Now, if it was in a case like this, always destroy the guardsman, assuming they both don't have any effects. Destroy the guardsman, you can see by the little plus support or the mercenary thing, depending on what you want to do. So in this case, right now we have board control. We have 5 minions. He has 3, or now 4, and he can attack with 2 of them. So he's just going directly to the face, and it's our turn now. So now that we have 7 mana, we could play this one, or we could play a screen. Now, I think we're just going to summon one. We're going to wait till we have 8 mana or 8 supply and just use that one instead because it just curves out better. So play this one and 1 firepower. What I want to do is essentially just run everything in, and we're just going to go face at this point. And we'll destroy this because he might actually trade into one of them a little bit later. And I'm not exactly sure how many like minions you can have on the board on your side at once, but we're going to try to get as much value with the impact as possible. So now that it's our turn on 8, we can summon like 2 things, so I guess it's just generally better to summon something first. And then you see, look at the attack on all the minions we have right here. And then we could just summon that to get a huge bonus on everything. So now we could just go face and not have to worry about anything. Oh, actually, that one has a screen, and that means you have to attack that one before anything else. So let's go do that.
No guts, no glory.
Actually, let's just clear the board. That one already attacked, and we're good. So next turn, we can win. Guaranteed. He used an EMP blast and did 1 damage to that. That's essentially a spell card that you don't have to attack with the minion to do that. Spells just negate various things or buff. So now at this point, we just win. And the way you do that is just by attacking face until they go to 0. Excellent. So now that we have a general idea of like how to play the game, every time you win, you get a little bit of a level up, and once you level up, you can unlock new cards. You get new stuff based on your level, obviously. So with that said, we got a Mystic Apprentice. And now that our thing is level 5, and you get the general idea of how the game works, we're going to be opening some packs, and then we'll be making a deck. So just to show you what happens. Oh yeah, and aside from the money part of it, you can earn credits in the game, and your credits go here. It's essentially the in-game currency. You could use that money to buy packs as well, and that's how you progress without paying money. So with that said, I do have some packs available, and we're going to just be opening a few of them I'm not going to open all of them, but we're just going to show you how it's going to work, and then after that I'll be talking about what else to get. So in every pack you get 6 cards, at least one of them is an elite, and then the rest are commons. So I'll be taking my time opening all of these, and just to show you like what's happening. So this is an elite card. This is the rarity, as you can see at the bottom. Obviously, the better it is, the like it's shiny essentially, and then you can see at the top that rarity to thingy at the top. Good. Yep. So this one's in neutral. I'm actually kind of surprised the first one we got was wow. So you guys can see here the conscript and then the rarity. We actually got a paragon, or not a paragon, elite, 2 elites in here, and that was it. But it kind of looks the same. They should probably change the colors of it, even though it's like you can easily tell the difference, but just changing the colors up a little bit. What essentially we want is all the paragons, but elites will do as well. So we're going to open a few more packs, and then I'll try to talk about what I think is good and what's not. Then you claim it. I still don't know the rarities by like heart yet. Just the bigger it is, the better it is. Well, not always the case, but it's like rarity is kind of important in card games, just for like collector's sake. All right, so deploy 1/1 guardsman for every card played this turn. That is a very good tempo card. It's a spell, and tactics are essentially spells, or what they call it in this game. And it's pretty good for the cost, actually. Another tactic, Mind Wipe, is for... At the bottom, you can also see like what faction it's for. And sometimes there are neutral ones, but usually you'll notice by the color on the side of what faction it should be in, or would be in, actually. So, nullify a target unit, then deal damage equal to psychic charge. Next. Deploy a 3/3. That's pretty good, but the cost, maybe not so much. We'll see how that works. Deal 1 damage to a unit. Adjacent units gain swarm. That seems pretty interesting. Oh, that's actually a cool picture. Like, I always like seeing how the art style is for all the cards as well. And then that one is for that. I wish there was like a better way of opening packs. Just like hitting your space bar or something would help out. All right, speed things up in a way. Arc attack, probably not a good one. Restore health, potentially good. Oh, an elite. It just tells you at the bottom, but I like looking at the picture on the top. Deal additional 3 damage to 4 or more unit supply cost units. Ooh. That might be good, but it's definitely not something you want to play early on. And one thing I've noticed in card games is how the early game is. Like, most games don't know how to balance early cost or early like base games. So that's why you'll see a lot of rush decks and decks that just go face. That's because usually 1 drops, and early on stuff is just generally better than the late game. So however that works, we shall see, and we'll be testing it in the future. And just another duplicate. Alright, so next. Too bad you can't go back once you click it until you do all 6. So let's just open all 6 of them. An elite. Okay. So deal 3 damage. We already saw that. Impact is like a play when you place it. you give an effect to another one, or friendly support in this case have +2. Saw that one. Phase bubble on your companion. Oh, so like I really just want to compare that one to another, but we'll just refrain from that one. So, and neutral cards are probably going to be the most important, because neutral, you're going to be making a lot of decks in the game, so that's generally good. Gut decision. Watch 2 cards from your enemy's deck, copy 1. That's pretty good for 1 cost. Disable target unit, questionable. An elite. If you have less energy than your opponent, restore 5 HP to your target character. Interesting. Oh ho! Oh my god, a heroic, our first one. And it's a, when you activate a module, gain swarm this turn. I'll try to explain that in a little bit more detail when you modules and swarms a little bit later. 2 in a row, boys! We got heroics, but no paragons yet. Any unit restored also gain shield. Potentially good for the cost. And regular. So we'll just open a few more in this video, and then we'll do a little bit more in the next one, just so we'll separate it, just so if you're not interested in watching pack openings, then you don't have to watch it. So one more in this one. I think we've seen all of these so far. Syndicate security, if you have a mercenary unit on the board, gain +1 attack. Ooh, so pretty much a buff one for 1 cost. That's actually pretty good. The early game is surprisingly above average in this game. So cyborg units are separate, so you have to build like a cyborg deck, for example, in the hierarchy, and we'll see. That's a nice picture. Whoever did the art is fantastic. I like that. What would be cool is if they had like holographic cards as well. Alright, so with that said, you guys get the idea of opening packs. I'll do a separate video if you want to just watch me open the rest of them. And I assume later on, or once we unlock stuff, there are going to be new campaigns like DLC, new card backs like cosmetics, avatars. All these are cosmetic, I would assume. And heroes may or may not be cosmetic, because they actually do affect the game, but it's not like one is going to be more broken than the other. But anyway, we're back here. And yeah, so if you enjoyed it, there is a leaderboard set for this. Like you can see all our top players and our top 100 at least. And then you can spectate other people if you don't think you're doing great. And yeah, so just to like recap, decks is like, I'll just not do that, but deck builders, you create your deck, very self-explanatory, and then the numbers here, you'll just show you what you got new, and then very good. Fusion mode is when you have to, or you can like sell all your duplicates. You can only have 2 of a certain card in your deck at any time, so like extras you get, you turn into scrap, and you could use the scrap to create more cards, or just like create more stuff. And then see, very good. And then you can use that to like make all your other characters. So that was just a general idea of the game. We covered all of this. Raid is like when you make more or play other people who use random decks that you create out of all the cards in the game. So that's one of those unique ones that is completely separate to the competitive side of it, but they're both pretty fun. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike and let me know how I can improve in the future. So if you want to check this game out, I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out as well, and let me know what you thought. So with that said, have a fantastic day, and I will see you in a bit for the next video of our pack opening.